I was educated in England and also in other locations in the world, so I had this parallel drawing system. And this is called the Dora, because this is a giraffe, but this is the dog.
Oh, nice.
So this is a project we did together with Frank here. It was quite nice. So it's the longest table you can find. And we build it, really. Your 60s in architecture, then you get your best works. Or best time is still to come.
Yes. Hi everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of PATALKS. Today we're thrilled to have the brilliant Ben van Berkel, the founder of UNStudio and a visionary architect in contemporary architecture. Ben's iconic projects such as the Erasmus Bridge in Rotterdam, the Mercedes-Benz Museum in Stuttgart, and the Arnhem Central Master Plan showcase his ability to redefine architecture through creativity, cutting-edge technology, and a focus on human experience. In this episode, we explore Ben's thoughts on designing smarter, more sustainable cities and how technology like AI and robotics is reshaping architecture. He also reflects on balancing ethics, craftsmanship, and innovation in his projects. Don't miss this inspiring episode as Ben shares his creative journey, what drives his work, and his advice for aspiring architects. Whether you're an enthusiast or simply curious about architecture, I'm sure this episode will inspire you. Before moving ahead, let's take a moment and spotlight Pacademy, an online architectural educational platform dedicated to the exploration of parametric design, computational tools, and artificial intelligence in architecture. Pacademy serves as a bridge to advanced design techniques, fostering collaboration with pioneering architects and designers. Through the online courses at the Pacademy, we dive deep into the multifaceted world of computational design, engaging with a wide array of topics that push the boundaries of architecture. You can register and join the live workshops or watch the previous studio workshops recordings. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell notification so you don't miss any new uploads. So if you guys are ready, let's get into the podcast. Well, thank you so much for having us here, Ben. It's nice to see you for the second time in Amsterdam. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for inviting me to your platform.
Thank you so much. So I want to go back a little bit into history and ask a little bit about when did you realize that you want to become an architect, and what was the key moment that shaped the future of your career as an architect that you are now?
Thanks. It was quite early. I was in a way a young boy who was always surrounded by architecture, and I was born in a neighborhood whereby many buildings were in construction, so that was maybe my first sniff of architecture, you could say. But when I was close to 20, in the period when I was at the Art Academy here here in Amsterdam, I was working also during the day, so I went in the night to the academy, and during the day I was working for a Japanese designer, a graphic designer, and we worked on exhibition designs and many other things. And he said to me, "Ben, you're talking so much about architecture, one day you have to go to Japan." When I was I was only 19, 20 years old. And he said to me, "And if you're in Japan, I have a lot of friends who can help you, but I will help you to bring you to the Katsura Palace." So that was something he supported also financially, because my parents paid half and he paid part of it. And it was quite an amazing trip. I was there for a month, blown away by one building I saw after many other buildings I of course saw in Tokyo. I saw the work of Kenzo Tange, of course, the metabolist were at that time having my fascination. But one building in Kyoto was the Katsura Palace. And when I was in that Katsura Palace, I knew on the spot, now I have to become an architect. Architecture can give you so much, can not visually give you a lot of qualities, but it can particularly also in the experience of how you can integrate an external landscape with an internal beauty of spaces I saw in that palace so much that I thought, yeah, this is the way to go. And then I went to London, as you probably know, to the AA.
Yeah. Yes, I know. And definitely you did a right thing, and you have been one of the most influential architects currently alive. And you did a lot of great projects at UNStudio. I wanted to ask, how do you define architecture, and what do you think is a good architecture?
Architecture is, in itself, in my opinion, not so important as people think, in the sense that if you look at architecture, then it's important that it does have a visual effect and that it does have a high-end excellence quality of architecture is important. But I'm more interested in what it does for people, So if architecture is somehow background, and that's what I mean by, in brackets, not so important, then it is first of all how architecture can generate a human experience, and that you can build communities, and how people can enjoy a wonderful house where they stay in, and that architecture can uplift human qualities and make you excited about going back to that station, what really is about traveling, instead of that it becomes the backyard of the city and where it becomes a negative space. I like these qualities of architecture. So for me, that's good architecture. It's something, architecture what stays in the mind. Something what generates more than only that what you see.
Absolutely. When you enter a space and after you leave there, your mind is there, oh, I should go back. I want to revisit this place again and spend as much as time as I can. And that creates a high quality effect in the user, and they just keep their mind occupied about the spaces that they were in. That's definitely a good definition of high quality and good architecture. I wonder what inspires you during the day as you work as an architect, and do you have any dream project that you want to build in the future?
Oh yeah, I have many dream projects still. I always joke. I believe you see that with many other architects who are still active. Take Norman Foster or Renzo Piano, they're still full on, and are 85 or 86 or even older. Take, for instance, another friend of mine is Frank Gehry. I'm always amazed that they are still so wonderfully active. I often believe that beyond your 60s in architecture, then you get your best works.
Ah, cool.
So, or best time is still to come.
Yes.
But of course, I'd like to, be more involved in doing more exciting projects, and that doesn't have to be always an airport, because architects often think it needs to be big, but I'm lately working from large scale projects to quite small scale projects, or even a home for someone, is still something where I really enjoy and like to work on. But don't forget, if a country or government or a minister even ask me sometimes to work with a group of other people to think about the future of the country, of how to grow or where we have to develop or future housing, for instance, then of course I'm really honored. And that's what I like, that as an architect that you have a public responsibility, and that you can think with policymakers to think beyond your own profession, and that you can think then also how you, with all the things you have learned over the last 30 years, that you can use that expertise in another manner than only designing buildings alone. So, of course, the next airport would be wonderful, but but on other levels, I like also to think with clients about their business or their country or their city, of how I can help there to improve it, etc., etc. So a lot of nice things to still work on.
Great, great.
And my inspiration, that was another question, sorry. I'm a fanatic reader, and I'm so interested in things who can inspire me. I love art, and I love to read anything on science, or I like sports. I'm interested in many things, and even like to still also do some paintings myself. I've always painted and always been drawing for myself in order to stay in touch with the physical aspect of the profession, because I think the technocratic aspect of our profession is wonderful. I mean, all the things happening in there, as you know, from the way how we work now with super advanced technology towards AI even, is exciting, but I think we shouldn't lose our sensual qualities with the way how we can use our hands in order to get some feedback on that what we make ourselves. So that's what I do in order to get also inspiration.
Talking about super advanced technologies that you mentioned, and also beyond going beyond architecture, you sometimes visualize or work on concepts that showcase the future of Netherlands or future of cities in Netherlands. In this case, like the Hyperloop project that you worked as a concept project. How do you envision the future of Netherlands with the integration of all these high-tech advancements in the country and in cities scale?
You know, this is exactly the thing I mentioned before, that lately the country is having a lot of questions about how to grow, you know, with the enormous amount of housing we have to build. So where do we build these houses is often my question, and for who? You know, because the United Nations, for instance, already 4 years ago, mentioned that the family constellations we used to have were only 12 type of family constellation, but now we have maybe 40. You know, so the way how we live today is so much changed. You know, my interest is there, where can you create more different locations, or where you can stimulate economical growth, because people like to live, of course, where they can also work and where they can also develop their own future. And for that you need infrastructure. For every new, let's say, major great development in each city, you need up to 30% more infrastructure for that to generate the movement between home and the work. And the connections between a decentralized city planning strategy we need, for instance, in this country, because we cannot all live in the West. What is right now happening, we have an enormous amount of people living in Rotterdam, Amsterdam, you know, Den Haag, and that's almost becoming one metropole.
Yes.
But as policymakers, luckily enough now realize it needs to be a polycentric country. But for that, I'm interested in the Hyperloop, because that's of course all coming up, and I don't know if a Hyperloop really would work in Holland, because, you know, the moment you step in the train, then you almost have to step out the next second, because
You're there.
it's such a compact country. But to make more international links, like what you see so wonderfully in Spain, for instance, or France, with the high-speed connections they create, that's unbelievable. That is, I think, a future where we have to think about, you know, how can we connect ourselves better to the other countries in Europe, I think is a major topic.
And you mentioned about the housing projects and also residentials and the communities. Sometimes your work is highly focused on the high dense urban living areas as a solution for future cities. And there are also critics about this, that when you create these high dense areas, the communities start to decay and the relationships are not the same in the neighborhood as they were before. What is your comment for these critics? And also, to balance this, what kind of solutions do you consider in the projects?
I'm fascinated in how you can densify in such a way that you don't make too many monofunctional areas. You know, I think that in the past high-rises and areas around high-rises were so dense that that they created seclusion, fragmentation, loneliness, and discomfort around the people who live there. I always say people don't like to talk with each other in an elevator. You know, they don't do that, and for that you need to find other ways to bring people together. And lately I hide my elevators in the projects because I'm saying to my clients, listen, it's much better that your people get to know each other, that they see each other, that they really understand who's around them.
Yes.
And that
they can see the neighbors, they can see the...
Yeah, that they take a staircase, not up to the 112th floor,
yes.
but that they at least can take a very nice staircase if they want to go to their friends on the 100th floor, you know, so they can walk maybe two stories or 3 stories. And now, you know, like in our latest project, for instance, you know, that's the tech company, you know, Booking.com. We did a headquarters.
Oh yes, I know.
And we're testing this concept in many buildings, and people love it because they don't have to take the elevator. They use a fire staircase, what we really made very beautiful. So what we do is when it comes down to high rises, for instance, we make neighborhoods in the sky. And we say, listen, you know, you on this fragment in the tower, you can meet each other, and we make common amenity spaces where you have a social club or you have a gym, and that people, you know, hopefully can also share certain activities around taking care of the children. So creating combinatorial amenity spaces for people living in towers is the essence of not living too much alone. And that's, you know, a topic what is far more common in South Korea, for instance. There you have very well organized community-based agreements you make with each other in the way how you live in the neighborhood, in the towers, whereby everyone takes a responsibility on a topic, on the topic of gardening or sporting or, you know, who knows, going together with each other to maybe the place where you clean your clothes or all these kind of things. So it's quite amazing how I've learned from international places where we work and bring that to a location where that is not yet invented.
Mm-hmm. Incredible. Do you think rules and regulations are somehow affected in this?
Yeah. A little bit, because I mean now we have this kind of loose character lately of this is the neighborhood where you can live, and you know you can everything, you know, of comfort is addressed for the future community, but I don't believe in that model anymore. I think that we should not park a car in that neighborhood so easily anymore. We should make common gardens where you can maybe produce food with each other, or that you can play with the kids and families can meet each other much more commonly, instead of having a kind of segmented kind of garden approach and where you can park your car in front of the door. No, it needs to be much more so that you then make agreements with each other that well, you want to produce for 30% or 40% your own food in this neighborhood. Well, then a certain group needs to take care of that, and you can make an agreement on that level. And if you don't want to produce, or if you don't like locally produced food, then you're maybe not in that community. But you know what I mean. You can make these kind of agreements.
Absolutely. And speaking about technology and the emergence of new tools and like computational design, AI, a lot of interdisciplinary roles started to integrate with architecture profession, like becoming a computational designer, becoming a BIM specialist, material analysis, virtual space designer, robotic specialist, these kind of things. Regarding the advancements in AI in the last couple of years, what kind of different roles and skills do you think will be emerged with our profession? Like how the architecture of the future will be defined with having different kind of roles in the offices, let's say.
We invest, or not only invest, we naturally grow AI within the company very steady, and that's not only because we want it, but it's the younger generation who loves to work.
Definitely.
They're just integrated by nature already
Yes.
in the company. That's wonderful. But we are also quite selective because you cannot introduce AI too fast. Thereby you have not tested enough, and so we tested it also on, can it create efficiency in our workforce? And I've learned the better you're organized on that level, the more time you have for real design, and not AI design.
Yes.
But you cannot believe it. I think we have developed already close to 7 different UNStudio-based own programs on how we can quickly analyze the carbon footprint of a building, but then not only on the performance of the carbon footprint, but particularly on the way how it is related to materials and I call it the physical aspect of the carbon footprint. And these things are quite wonderful, or now we connect AI almost on all our 3D programs, and then can make very quick renderings ourselves, but they are not up to the standard, of course, as any other render company is doing it, but we can quickly test what kind of atmosphere we'd like to have in the building, etc. So it's going really fast. It's shocking how fast this goes at the moment right now in the world with AI, but also within our profession. I'm a bit scared by it because let's prioritize first what are the most important elements what we can do with AI before we use it too quickly for design, because honestly we test it for design, but most of the time we don't like any of the AI produced designs.
Yeah, they are just images, yes, of course, and for sure AI can not only be involved in the image generation process, but we need to get hands on like the optimization, on the analytics, on the even in the real world applications of like having them in construction methods of providing us much better solutions of building methods, maybe.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
Yes.
Yeah, so in the exactly, this is what I'm also more or less saying here. If we can use it for the optimization of getting better in the way how we are organized, also with all our external advisors or the building industry or our clients. And for instance, what I also like lately, that we connected also towards more newer economical models we can connect, even real estate models we can connect towards it, then we do something good, because then we can give a better advice to our clients and ourselves than making or producing new software or whatever, because I think we will never become a software company.
Yes, absolutely. And if you compare the doing architecture current vs whenever you started, like 40 years ago, let's say, do you miss design with sketches and with hand drawings, and how effectful it is like enjoying architecture 40 years ago and right now? Because you are from the generations that have seen the pre-computer or pre-digital era. So just as a general idea, if you can share what was it like before.
I liked in the time when we were drawing still by pencil and the way how we were intensely working on models, the slowness of the process in a way. That was quite interesting because you could create a form of cooking time we don't have today anymore. Now you can cook also with new techniques much faster, as you know. I was educated in England and also in other locations in the world, so I had this parallel drawing system. The nice thing about that time that was that we had more time for design, you know, so it took a bit longer, and if you had to change some details, then sometimes it would take 3 weeks to scratch and, you know, do it all over again. You know, it was in a way quite wonderful, but on the other hand, I always embraced technology, because when the first computers came out, we were the first ones to develop, I think, an own 3D modeling technique, whereby we with that designed the Erasmus Bridge. No,
Yes.
That was in 1994, yes. 95. And I still luckily enough have these people in the office who can tell that story very nicely. so it had all to do with coordination points in the way how we worked in a 2D program, but within in the setting of the coordination points, we knew how to make our own 3D model system. And it was really amazing, and we were very efficient for that reason, also with the way how we could build the Erasmus Bridge, because the contractor was highly fascinated, and they said, can I use your program to then use my latest computer I bought for the laser cutting machine we just bought. And then, you know, the whole bridge was cut by this 3D modeling system in 1995. So anyway, but then, and you know, and then in the late 20s, so that 2005 or 6, we bought Maya and all the kind of programs that nobody used yet in architecture, and I really still think that now it gives a new form of efficiency. So
yes.
more a quicker cooking time, but we have now another more extra time to think about the way how we can get to the best design. So you know, I think it's a waterbed chains of activities we introduce in the studio right now, whereby technology is very important, but it becomes also more efficient in a way for that what you can't do otherwise in design, and it is now model making, you know, doing sketch. I sketch still a lot, for instance, sketch a lot. And I stimulate my team also to do that.
Incredible, incredible. Congratulations on all those great projects that you did before and currently you're doing. I'm seeing you are also using social media a lot.
Yeah.
You are an active LinkedIn publisher. You have 33,000 followers there. Whenever I enter LinkedIn, I see you are publishing something. I also see you sometimes liking our posts as well,
yeah,
which
I like
is
it.
incredible. How does this help for you to promote UN's work, first of all, and secondly, how does this push the company forward in the growth with having global engagement with global audience?
I think it helps. It helps a lot, especially LinkedIn. You know, for me, that's my favorite platform, because if I've just heard about a client who is interested in us, I can look him up or link to him, and then, you know, immediately you can talk to the person. So I really love these platforms, and I've always, again, promoted collaboration. That is the philosophy of UNStudio. We are a united network studio, and I've always believed that collaboration is the only way how to come up with the most intelligent projects today. And yeah, I've never believed in this one image architect who says this is the design, and if you don't buy it, yes, then I'm out, you know. That's not the way. Also, our clients don't like it anymore, but I've never liked it. So I've always liked this idea of that you work with expertise, and you work in a social network in a way.
Absolutely.
And I love that. And the fact that you are, as an architect, also make projects, even when it's a commercial building, but that it stands in the city and that people can point at it, you have a form of responsibility to talk about it and to be open about it and to say something about it when someone asks you to say something about it, and I do that. Yeah. Also on social media.
Great. Yeah, we were in Rotterdam and also in Amsterdam. We visited a couple of projects. You did also the Erasmus Bridge, the Hoefstraat store. Nice. And we will visit a couple of more in the upcoming 2 days. Yeah, great work. I'm impressed as I saw them physically in person. Thank you so much for adding so much value to the architecture community. I have 2 last questions. This one that I'm asking, you don't have to answer, but it's gonna be a little bit about more moral ethics in architecture. Yeah. You know, a lot of conflicts about social and political conflicts happening all over the world. Sometimes there are the regions that undermine the human rights or they ignore these human rights. How do you navigate between these moral ethics in architecture while taking projects in certain regions?
No, I like the question because it's, especially being in UNStudio, we often mirror ourselves to what the UN advises us and helps us on what to do. And we have a team here also working with us on the way how with each project we do to discuss with the client if the human rights are protected or not. And there are very nice examples of projects I can give you where we many times ask who is then taking care of that when we build or build quite fast in these locations. What are then the protections for the people who work on these projects, etc. So we have a system to make sure that we take care of the places where we work and how we work in these places. But don't forget, my main argument often is that I want to make a better world as an architect, and I want to help people in every country where it is possible to help. And if it is possible there to do a little thing towards there where we can support new knowledge we can bring to a better sustainable, circular, you know, more health-oriented, social, community-based environment, where equity, social equity plays a very important role, we support it. And of course, you know, we're sometimes in a place where we think, gosh, it's still heavily conservative, or they have other political arguments here and than we have in our country. But then, yeah, I mirror myself also to what you see over the years in change, and I see often major changes. So I like the idea that we can help out there on these values there where necessary.
Well, thank you so much for considering about all these points, and I'm sure you and your team are doing great, adding a lot of great values for architecture and the communities that you're designing. As a final question, what kind of advice would you share with young talents and emerging architects?
I've always, you know, I love teaching, and I say always to my younger student architects, you know, be aware of your own talent. Make sure that you are not looking too much around and say, oh, I'd like to be, you know, that architect or that architect or that architect. You can learn from them, but there is something in you what you have not yet discovered.
Yes.
And try to discover your own talent and blossom your own passion. Because if you are passionate and if you believe in that where your heart goes to, follow your heart and really grow that passion into, yeah, great ambition. And then still, of course, you have to select today because the expansion of the profession is going wider and wider and wider. So you maybe become somewhere where a specialist maybe in the field, but that's up to you, you know, follow your passion.
Great. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you. Nice. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Now, if you're ready, let's go for a short tour of the office with Ben van Berkel. I hope you enjoy it.
So what you see here is one floor of all the floors we have within 3 buildings in Amsterdam. And it is quite interesting because this used to be a place where many couches were built, like for horses. And then later also a car manufacturer was part of this whole industrial building, so a century ago. And we loved the building so much that we always liked to stay here, but we expanded on many other projects or buildings around this site.
Wow. How many years it's been you're here?
Oh, I'm more than 10 years here.
Wow.
But it is actually difficult because we like to expand, of course, and it's always difficult to get another building in the surroundings here. But we are here with more than 250 people.
Wow, 250?
250.
Oh my God.
And in globally over the world, we are close now to 350 people.
Wow.
So it's quite big. But here, you have here a group of.
We can actually walk.
Yeah, we can walk a little bit. So these are the models where we work on. This is actually a bridge we're doing in Budapest. This is an extension of the airport in Georgia. These are the towers we did in Raffles. This is our Bula, the project in Melbourne we're going to build soon. This project is almost finished. The Wassel Tower in Dubai,
Wassel Tower,
Wassel Tower. This project is also close to finished. It's the project 4 in Frankfurt. It's quite an amazing project because half of each side of the building takes over the other half. So it's not a project of 4 towers, but it's a project of 8 towers. Because if you go around it, then one facade takes over the other facade in perspective. It's really amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
So this is a project we did together with Frank Gehry. It was quite nice. We sometimes, it was a while ago, but this was a project in Singapore.
Incredible.
This another project in Singapore we did is called Atmore Park Tower. It's very beautiful because it's having a double height balcony, and it's almost in the double height that we take over not only the balconies, but that you have 2 places where you can live on, and there are no columns in the living areas because the side of the apartments they have a construction.
Must be a hard engineering process to solve this.
It was very nice to work. So and
you
then,
publish books too?
Yeah, we do. You can have this if you like.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So, and this is what we also like. We like to design shoes. This is what we did with a company called what is it again? UNStudio or something like that. They do.
Yes.
Yeah, United Nude.
Yes.
You know them. And they are wonderful, and together with a small group of architects,
and it's 3D printed.
Yeah, it's 3D printed. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice, and you can really wear them. You can really wear them. It looks like a building, but we do a lot of work for Albert Alessi is my friend. This is a truffle slicer because most of the truffle slices are. So you hold it like this, and when you're in the restaurant, then you can cut it.
Nice! You design small-scale products too. Wow!
Yeah.
Incredible.
And then here the nice one, or even sometimes plates, chairs. So we really like the small, or even product for kids. What we did for kids. And this is called the doraf, because if this is a giraffe, but this is the dog.
Oh, nice. Multi-function.
Yeah, so you can play it like this. So,
cool.
and then of course, you know, we have a whole material section, and we're doing many projects on not only purely interior design or design for cities, but also we have a whole department on experience design. It's a whole new thing, you know, how can you make sure that you make an environment for a building so that with good air, good acoustics, good sustainable, non-toxic materials, how can you make the environment more healthier for people? And you know, we have a whole team for that here. So it's pure only experienced designers.
Incredible. And this is actually important to give a high quality experience in the buildings and the spaces that we design to the users.
Yeah.
That's what also is as an important task of architect, to the thing that we discussed before, to create spaces that can live in the mind, that can be in the mind even after you leave them, because you had a great experience. Oh, congratulations.
The last thing I would like to show you is this table. It's called the longest table for all cultures in the world. So it's the longest table you can find. And we built it really one day.
Really?
Yeah, we had this. So, and this symbolizes for me that if you have a skyscraper or a huge part of the city, if it is for all cultures, and that it integrates for everyone on how you eat or how you sit or how you can enjoy life on the table. You know, the table is the best social place in the world you can think of. Then you do the best for every built environment. So this was a highly symbolic project for there where we stand for in architecture. Yeah.
Incredible, great work. Is it like a concept or?
No, we built it once on a fair, and it was one of the most popular elements on the fair. It was a furniture fair.
Oh.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was really, it's close to, I think it was maybe close to 70 meters long or something like that.
So in the office you have interior, products, architecture, landscape, so focus on all the aspects of design.
Yeah, and specifically
furniture,
but infrastructure also. A lot of people work on infrastructure here. As you know, in Doha we did all the metro stations with 4 metro lines, and we're getting more and more work also in that world, but also culture. I love that we do, luckily enough, many museums or theaters, like a dance theater in Hong Kong right now. Yeah, so it's wonderful.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice.
Again,
nice.
Thank you.
Very great tour as well. Thanks for having us.
No, and you know, I promised to come along because I love, you know, I was many times in Istanbul. I'm a great fan of the work of Sinan.
Oh, yes. Guys, thank you so much for watching the episode. I hope you enjoyed it a lot. Again, I want to spotlight Pacademy, an online architectural educational platform that spreads the idea of using parametric design, computational tools, and artificial intelligence in architecture. You can register and join the live workshops or watch the previous studio workshops recordings. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss any new uploads. Thank you so much for watching the episode. Hope to see you soon in the future episodes.